Hello everyone, this is Panos from Hack the Box. This is the third day of Cyber Apocalypse and today we're here with a workshop. This is a workshop on last year's Corp Terminal Challenge. It's a very easy web challenge, but I think it's a nice opportunity to see some of the stuff that, some of the tools that we use quite a lot and learn some things in case somebody is a total beginner, and to see one of the easy challenges that you can do. So without wasting any more time, let's start with the challenge. So as we enter the web application, the first thing we are greeted with, it's this login screen. So probably the first thing that anybody would try to do is try to see if some classic admin common combinations exist. And we can see that it's not the case, but we can also see something else. If you see at the error message, it says that it's invalid user or password. I didn't like this message a lot because I would prefer to say that this user does not exist. If that was the case, maybe I could do an enumeration and find all the valid usernames, but this is something that a lot of sites do correctly. They don't let you know what you did wrong. So what else can we try to do? We can try to open a terminal and we can try to find different directories and different endpoints in this application. So for this, just copy paste. You can use derb, you can use dir search. There are a lot of tools you could use. But I can tell you from now that for this challenge, this is not going to work. But since we are running dirb, let's go and have a quick look at it. So if you are using dirb with just a URL, it uses by default the word list common.txt, which is a word list by dirb. So this is a nice opportunity to have a quick look at what a word list is. So if you are using a hacking distro, you can try to go to user share, this is Parrot, and that's a different thing. You could go to user share word lists and you could see all the different word lists that we were discussing before. For example, if you go to derb and you hit ls, you can see the common. So if you try to see what is inside common.txt, this is all the endpoints it searches for. So if you want to have a more thorough search, maybe you can try to do some research and find different word lists. But where are we? But this is not the case for this one. So what else can we do? One of the most popular things that, according to my experience, is not so common in the world is an SQL injection on the login screen. We can try to do it by hand. And so that's a very interesting message. What we did, in case you didn't notice, is at the end of the username we added a quotation mark, a single quotation mark. And instead of getting the user that the message that the password does not exist, like what was it saying, invalid user or password, we get a different error message, missing parameters. So what kind of parameters is missing? We can make a guess before seeing, but probably what happens is that this quotation actually works. So it drops the rest of the query, so it's missing the password. So if we are suspecting an SQL injection, we can always try to hack it by hand. And if you have time, it's a nice thing to do because you can find a lot of interesting stuff online and really understand how SQL injections work. But maybe you don't have the time and you want to use a tool. And there is a very popular tool for this kind of tests. So for this I'm going to try to intercept it. I'm using a proxy. I guess all of you know Burp by now, but in case you don't, it's a proxy, it's also a scanner, and I'm routing all the traffic from my browser to go through Burp. What it does is that it allows me to see the request that we are sending to the server. So I'm going to send it to the repeater just so we can see the request better. So if we go through the request, we can see that it has two parameters, username and test. And what we can do is we can send it to SQL map. There are different ways that you can use SQL map, and if you are using a hacking distro, 99% is going to come pre-installed, but in case you don't, you can always download it. It's on GitHub. It's good. I think it's written in Python, if I remember correctly. So what we are going to do is, there is certain ways you can use it. So you can just give the URL, or you can give the request that you send to the server. So how do we do this? Is we create a file with this request. So you can either try to open a text editor and create and copy paste everything, or if you're using Burp, you can just right click and there is an option which says copy to file. I'm going to use this one and name it login request. So if I go and try to see this login request, it's the request that we were seeing earlier. So there are a lot of values here. So what we want to do right now is to point to SQL map. Where do we want to search for the SQL injection? So if we want to test both of these, you add I hope you can see this. This is an asterisk. So in the value part of the value, you add an asterisk. So as soon as you do that, you save it and you try to run SQL map. Specify that you are going to use a request -r and just give the request. It already knows where to target because inside the request there is the IP that we are targeting, or the website. And for this we're going to say to ignore the SQL code for one that it will get, so we can also have the useful stuff. And let's start. My microphone for a moment, I'm sorry. So it asks us if we want it to process the asterisks, and the answer is yes. That's why we put them there. So right now it's going to go through some tests and try to find if the website is vulnerable to an SQL injection. So this is a nice time to have a break and have a sip of your coffee or whatever else you're drinking. And I can tell you from now that it's going to find that the username is vulnerable, but let's give it a little time. Once again, just use the suggested answers. I guess most of you know but when you see these questions and one of these is in capital letters and the other is in lowercase, it means that if you just hit enter, the uppercase value is what it's going to go through. So it actually confirms that the first parameter, it was the username, is vulnerable, and it asks if we want to keep testing the other parameters. In this case, this is the password. We don't want it to do that for now on. So yeah, since we know that, we can tell it to dump the database. So let's see what it did. This was quicker because we already ran it before. So it went through the database and it dumped the contents. So this specific table was called users. Usually this is the name of that the login screens target. And it has the ID of the user, it has the password, and it has the username. Is it realistic? Yes, of course it is. The only not realistic part is usually there would be more users, but okay. So we may think that we have the username and the password, but this is not the password. Probably most of you already know, but even if you don't, let's try to... You can always verify, but you already know that this is not a password. So what this is a hash. Most of you already know. So you can think of hashes as one-way cryptography. The point of hashes is to create an encrypted version of the password that you cannot decrypt to go back. So for example, the database, the backend system does not have a key that uses to decrypt this and find that the password is 1234, for example. What it does, when you send a password, it encrypts it again and see if the encrypted versions are the same. So this is meant to be one way. So we need to quote-unquote decrypt this. So first of all, the first thing that we want to do is to find what kind of hashes. So if you try to Google, there are a lot of different hashes. There is MD5, there is SHA1, there are a lot of different hash algorithms. So what you can do is just Google hash identifier. I have already visited the site, but there are different sites. And you can paste the hash, and you can see if it can identify the hash algorithm that is being used. And it actually did. So it says that the possible algorithm is a bcrypt algorithm, so that's nice. So we have the hash and we know the hash type. Now what we want is we want to use a tool to crack this. What can we use? The best option for this, or I don't know if it's the best, it's probably the most popular. It's a tool called Hashcat. If you're using, once again, a hacking distro, it comes pre-installed. But I will say in this point that if you have a gaming PC, even if it is in Windows, and it has a nice GPU, you can use it with Hashcat to have faster results. I will not do this right now, but generally it's better to have a GPU accelerated Hashcat running because it will be a lot quicker. So how do we use Hashcat? Let's go over to the terminal. So the way we're going to use Hashcat is, so before that, let's see what Hashcat does. As we said, we cannot encrypt it. What we can do is we can have a list of different possible passwords. So what Hashcat does is it goes through every single of these possible passwords, it re-encrypts it, creates the encrypted value, the hash value of this password, and tries to compare it with what we gave it. And it sees if it is the same thing. So the first we're going to need is we're going to need a text file with the possible hashes. In this case it's just one. Let's hope we are lucky. So we're gonna save and leave. Then we're going to need different word lists. Where you can find this word list? We see before that there are a lot of different word lists if you go to the users word list portions of your Parrot distro. The most possible word list is this one. It's called rockyou.txt. If you have a new install, there's not a chance. For sure it's going to be zipped because it's a very big file. Because if you see, that's a very big file. And usually if you are playing a CTF and if they want you to crack a hash, 99 times out of 100 it's going to be in RockYou, because this is a very popular and almost, how do you say, cult icon word list for hackers. The other way, if you see this one for example, there is a very nice GitHub project called SecLists, and it has all different kinds of lists. It also have passwords and common credentials. So what is this file that I have downloaded? I think this means password database, it's something, and it's the top 1000 most common passwords. And you can guess that you don't want to see your password in any word list, but especially in the top 1000. But the common passwords are usually what you will find. They are the most common passwords for a reason. So even if you do like a pen test or something, you always find somebody having an important role, like having a password of whatever, like welcome in 2025, whatever the year they got their account is. I used to find it all the time. So okay, so how do we run Hashcat? The way we do is we use the command Hashcat. We need to specify an attack mode, which I will explain right after I type it. Actually, I will explain it right now. We need to specify the attack mode, and we need to specify what kind of algorithm. So you can always use with every tool. They have either a help page or a man page from manual. So you can read the manual for Hashcat. In this example you want to see what is the code for bcrypt, if it has one, and it does have one. So the code for bcrypt is 3200, and you need the attack mode. What is an attack mode? And who is better to explain than Hashcat themselves? So you can try to find the Hashcat user manual. They have it on their website, and you have a lot of pages to go through and see how this very nice tool works. Right now we know what to search for, so we're going to search for we will search for attack mode. So we can either use -a or -attack mode. So what it needs a numerical value. And what is this possible numerical values that you can use? So you can use 0, which is straight. So what does it do? It goes to this word list and just try what it sees in the screen. First it tries this one, then it tries this one, then it tries this one, and it keeps on going. You can try to use one combination. So what does it mean? It tries to combine this one with this one. So it creates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, you know. And creates different combinations. So if it's not a ready word list, and for example you have made a custom word list for a certain target, and you have like his birthday, his name, his mother's name, his child's name, his dog's name, it can create different combinations, because probably you have heard that somebody has a dog called Rex, and they are born on July, and it's like Rex July 92, for example, or something. You can have toggle case where it shifts the different the letters from lowercase to uppercase and etc. You can try to brute force it, which it should be your last resort. I don't think in a CTF you will ever need to brute force unless you have some clues knowing that the password is only numbers and it's only 4 characters long. Then yes, you can. The best option is just brute force it. But if it has all these different characters and it's lengthy and whatever, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's quite sadistic if you are a CTF team and create a challenge that needs brute forcing for a 10 character password. And you can see the other options. So in this case, I guess our CTF team is not sadist, so we're going to use just a 0 value and just go straight with this. So let's use what we collected. So is this, do I remember this right? Let me check. Yes, I do. So we have this attack mode. We know the algorithm from above, which is 3200. We need to have the hash file, which I don't remember. This is what I named it. And we're going to use a word list. And for this we're going to use the user share top 1000 most common passwords. And you hit enter and you take a break. This is a very small password list, so it shouldn't take long, but it will take some time. So you are going to have to sit here and watch my face, and we can try to see whatever, I don't know, just keep hitting enter and see the different password that it tries. Blink 182, I used to listen to them. And it's going to take some time. But while this is running, it ran. And if you go here, as I was trying to tell the story, you will see that it was able to crack the password, and the password was password123. So now we have successfully cracked it, and we can try to use admin and password123 to gain access. And that was this challenge. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something in case you didn't. And if you are scared for CTFs, I guess you found out that it's not that hard and you can try. And you have 2 more days to try, so yes, stop watching the stream. Go away. Go. Play the CTF. Bye bye.